This is Urasawa Boys, a podcast where we read and discuss the works of manga artist and author Naoki Urasawa. Right now, we're reading Monster, and Monster deals with a lot of dark and troubling topics and themes, so a list of content warnings is going to be available in the show notes. Thanks for listening. I am Samuel Quinn Morris.
I'm FNL.
This is Urasawa Boys, a podcast where we talk about Monster by Naoki Urasawa, and at some point in the future, also other things by Naoki Urasawa, which is a very exciting prospect for everybody.
There's a lot of it out there, yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff. This time, we are reading chapters 25 through 32 of Monster, which is the second half of Perfect Edition Volume 2, and the entirety of regular Volume number 4. Although, I don't even know if those single tankobons are even on sale in the West
They
anymore.
seem hard, if not impossible, to find. I will say the cover art for them is very cool, and was an inspiration for some of the stuff that I tried doing with the podcast art when I was putting it together. Because it's that Monster logo with the sword that goes through the T, and they just kind of overlay it with different 90s and 2000 style textures on each volume. So
I do love a 90s texture. You
yeah,
can't go wrong.
Who doesn't love a texture that came off of a Corel Draw CD or something like that?
I don't know what that is, but it sounds era appropriate.
It's like Photoshop, but different.
I see. Okay. Man, we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot to talk about. This is so
a
chunky.
Good reading.
Like, after I was done, I was like, should we just change the format of the show to be four chapters every week instead of 8 every 2? Matt, what?
Sorry.
Oh, Matt's getting his potatoes. He had some potatoes in the oven.
I'll microwave the potatoes later. They're fine.
Oh, good.
They cooked through. We're good.
Great. Woo!
Sorry.
Woo! Thank
Potatoes,
goodness.
Listeners,
Yeah.
I was making baked potatoes with chili for dinner tonight because, we don't have to get into it. The potatoes were saved. It was going to be a tight window.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway,
love having the Matt chili connection on our podcast. Matt loves
chili's
chili.
very good. It's my favorite food. It's one of the things that I can make very well, and it sustains me. We'll talk about it on maintaining balance at some point.
Yeah,
but I have an important relationship with chili.
There you go, ladies.
Yeah, get you a man who can make chili. 3 different kinds of beans.
Get you a Matt who can make chili.
Chunky reading. Right. Lots going on.
Yeah, lots going on. Do we have any overall thoughts that we want to kind of set the listeners up as we head into this, or do we just want to dive in?
I think this is a pretty different reading from the ones that have come before.
Yeah.
It might be most similar to the first chunk, where it's kind of pretty much everything that happens here, aside from the open and the close, is like one kind of self-contained arc. I don't know. It's weird.
Point, actually, I hadn't really thought about that, but you're right. Like 6 out of these 8 chapters are a single continuous like movie. Almost.
Movie's a really good way to put it, because I think this reading is extremely cinematic, in some of the way that it does, like jump cuts and needle drops and
the needle drop. Woo! Do I want to talk about that needle drop when we get to it? All right, I don't think I can wait anymore. Let's get chapter.
Let's get into it.
25. The woman left behind. Wait a second. You know what I just realized? I've been assuming that Kapital is German for chapter.
I have too, is it not?
Is it? It just occurred to me that maybe it means something else. Hold on.
Are we about to get hoisted?
That would be... Okay, it just means chapter. Woo!
Okay, we're safe. We're good.
It's like, man, what if this was this major, like, thematic thing that
we just missed?
Completely fucking...
Goobered on, yeah.
That really would be the verb in this instance. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Chapter 25, The Woman Left Behind, and I will summarize this.
Sounds good.
Ava, this is an Ava chapter. That's the most important thing to know about it. This is all Ava, baby. And Ava messes around with a dude, and then she kind of gets to know her gardener at her estate, and she kind of, like, toys around with him a bit, and kind of implies that maybe she'd be interested in him. The gardener's wife left him a while back, and his kid is like, your wife left you. And he's like, yeah, she sure did. And then Ava gets a little toasted, and they sleep together. And at the end of all that, you know, he's kind of like, man, you're kind of a lonely person. But if you want to have Christmas with me and my daughter, you can. And then she goes to have Christmas with him and his daughter. But his wife came back, actually, and so she looks in through the window, and his wife is back, and she goes Joker mode and burns down her estate. Not including the gardener's house. The gardener does not live on the estate. This is important.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens here.
Hang on. No, the end of this chapter lines up with the end of the previous chapter.
Oh yeah, well that's a note. Talking about, it's not just the end lining up. Actually, it syncs up in the middle in a really kind of blink and you'll miss it way that's really interesting.
Oh yeah. Oh, neat. Okay.
Yeah. Do we have any overall thoughts? How do you feel spending all this time with Ava, Matt?
I'm not a big Ava fan, which I think we've talked about before. I think she's mean. I like the gardener. The worst. Yeah, she's the worst. I think she's entertaining, but I don't like her. Is the thing. Like I think this is a good chapter, and I think when she burns down her estate at the end, and Joker mode is a really good way to describe it. Like it's, I think that's a very fun panel, right? Like it's the action movie walking away from an explosion without looking at it, and she has the same look that she always has on her face, where she's just like it's this smug kind of like barely smile, and her eyes are just kind of She's closing her eyes a little bit because she's cool.
She's plotting. She's planning.
She's plotting.
She's planning low grade evil.
Yeah, I think it's really good, and I think her obsession with Tenma is very fun. How she says the line in particular that I thought was very fun was, "That dude ruined 3 of my marriages." Right? Like
yeah, she's still every time she blamed Tenma.
It's so funny. She married 3 dudes after Tenma. Is the implication, because I know
10 months.
Yeah.
In 10 months. Or no, sorry. In 10 years. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, because there's
2
the
time skips.
Mm-hmm.
There's the 9-year time skip, and then there's
like a 6 or 12 month. But it's still, that's more than the average. That's
it's a lot of marriages.
She's burning and churning, and it's
to be sure.
The thing that she says. The gardener calls her out for it, right? Where, she says, I liked Tenma because he always, he was connected and he always agreed with me and did what I said. And the gardener kind of says, like, I mean, no, I think you're lying to yourself. It sounds like you loved him, and now that he's gone, you're just lonely. And that's like the refrain, I think, for this chapter is, you're just lonely.
The reading, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some Matt. We've got some overall theme stuff to talk about later.
So that's interesting because to me, this chapter didn't. I mean, like it links up with what we read last time, but it felt a little weird. Like if I was thinking about these 8 as a single reading. So
I think it's not as connected. It's, how do I put it? It's a parallel, right? It's part of a parallel story that's going on because Monster is sort of 2 plots. In a way, because it's even more than 2, really. But at least at the moment, right, it's kind of Tenma trying to catch up to Johan, right? Tenma, Nina, and the crew trying to catch up to Johan, and then you've got Lunge and Ava trying to catch up to Tenma, right?
Okay.
So they're parallel, but the themes, the overall theming, like what is important, about Monster is still very present here. And I think, especially with this reading, I'm beginning to form a theory that kind of the core thesis of Monster is about loneliness, and there are several pieces of important evidence in this reading that I think starts to really lock this in for me, and I'm curious to see where that goes. Other fun stuff from this chapter on the second page is the chapter opens with Ava kissing like some fling and being like, oh, it's a shame you have to go back to your wife, and he's like, yeah, I'll call you, and she goes, that's what you think. I left a handkerchief drenched in my perfume in your bag.
She's the best.
Cad. She's fucking, you know.
That I love. Man. I do love that. And the best part is, you know, she reads the gardener to filth, right? Where she's like, you think I'm a slut. Like, you think I'm the worst, but also you want me. And the worst part is he kind of does. I mean, he's a sap. Does. Right?
The gardener Matt core character is the gardener.
Yeah, 100%. So
he
I
even
wrote
looks
down
like you a little bit.
Unfortunately, a little bit. I wrote down, the thing I wrote down was Gardner's daughter has the same disposition as Ava, and I think she's drawn with the same eyes as well, which is my thing that I have been coming back to over and over and over again, is the way that Urasawa draws people's faces, right?
Yeah.
She's not as bad as Ava, right? But she, like you said in your summary, like, she thinks her dad's a sap, right? She loves her dad, but he's a sap, right? And that's kind of the same dynamic with Ava, right? Like, she thinks that this guy is a sap and that she can take advantage of him. And I don't think it's not as nice, right? Like, she doesn't have that, well, you're my dad, I love you for it. But it's the same, it's a similar dynamic, I would say. And this just seems like maybe this is this dude's relationship with women, right? Like, his wife left him, you know. He's just kind of, he's a bummer.
You know, he's just like, or, you know, it's also Gardner's rock, Matt. He's too busy with the garden.
He's too busy with the gardener.
Too busy with the garden to keep his wife. You know, we got journalists rock. We got detectives rock. We got
doctors rock early on.
We also got people are rocking and their wives are leaving them. LMFAO. Sorry for garden rocking.
Sorry for garden rocking. The thing that one of the notes that I have is when they're on the date, he's extremely nervous, and then she asks him about the garden, and he says, and he stops shaking, and he just talks about like what he's going to do, and he says, "I feel confident in the garden," and I think he has a little bit where he says like, you know, it's the place where I feel like I can express myself. And Quinn, I hate to tell you this because it confirms your suspicion that this is a Matt Core character.
Oh no!
But on dates, sometimes I'll tell girls like, "Well, you know, I'm a programmer. I make software, but it feels like my way of expressing myself. Like it's art. I'm not good at drawing things, but I'm good at math, so I can kind of like sketch stuff out, and then you know, I have my notebook and the finished software at the end, and it looks the same, and it's just you know, it's my art, my software." I feel confident when I'm programming programs.
I feel confident when I'm programming. Matt X Ava fanfiction.
Oh no, please.
Get on
if we reach a certain Patreon backer level, I'll pay someone to write that. I'll figure it out.
I don't think we have to pay anybody. I think they'll do it themselves. Okay. So I think the only other really particular... There's a couple interesting things, but...
There's a good page turn reveal, which we've kind of been calling out as they happen.
Page turn reveal? Which one? Where?
Well, so the setup for the end of this story is the gardener has cooked a big Christmas dinner because he thinks that Ava is going to come, and she is going to come. But when the doorbell rings, the person who answers it is not Ava, but it's his wife.
Yeah.
She's come back because she realized that, you know, she made a mistake in leaving him and stuff like that. And that who answers the door is hidden behind a page turn.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, he's surprised, and so you go like you're like, "Oh, he's surprised because Ava's there." It's not Ava.
It's his wife.
It's not Ava. You know.
But that was my last big note. So I think you had something that you were going to close on.
Just a couple of quick things. So the scene in which she is drunk and yells at poor garden man. Do we even know his fucking name? I don't think we know his name. Jeez. Yep, he is a sap. So that scene is interesting. So she's turned as fuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she says, so he goes, drinking already at this hour? She says, can you blame me? I just went to see Inspector Lungay at the BKA office in Wiesbaden. So this is happening concurrently with the previous chapter, right? Where Ava goes to Lungay and she's like, hey, fucker, like, do this thing. And he's like, I literally don't care. And so then she comes back and she's super drunk. She's wearing the same outfit, by the way, as she was in the previous chapter. And then at the end of this chapter, she goes to Lungay again, and this is at the end of the previous chapter, where it's right after Lungay has been soft-fired. And he's like, I have a bunch of free time now, because everybody hates me. And so then they get to team up. They get to team up to take down Tenma. And so I just think that's fun to have this chapter happening concurrently with the previous one. It's just an interesting little interlocking bit that I don't know if it necessarily does anything strongly one way or the other, but it's fun. It's a fun thing to notice. Yeah, and I think, yeah.
I was just going to say, a note I had for one of the later chapters was this whole section is extremely tightly plotted. And I think that's always really fun, right? When it's like when you feel like the mechanisms of a story working. And it's real strong here.
Urasawa's good at that.
It seems like it.
The last note I have is that there's one panel I really fucking like, which is when Ava is looking in at the now happy family from outside, and the cross of, like, the window pane crossbar is like a shadow on her face. That's like, you can tell something, like, she's about to do something bad. My face when I'm about to burn down my estate. Is how it makes me feel.
It's good. So that's chapter 25. I didn't write full summaries, but I did write little alternate titles for each one. The title I wrote for 25 was Ava takes a lover and then burns down her house.
Great. Yeah, that's a good one.
So I can summarize 26 if you want.
Yeah, chapter 26, Be My Baby.
Be My Baby. Okay, so this one opens with in the Perfect Edition, the opening pages of this one are in color, and there's a few kind of color pages scattered throughout the rest of tonight's reading. But this chapter opens with an unknown woman showing up at a club, the Candy. She kind of talks to some of the guys there. They assume she's a prostitute, and there's kind of some discussion about, okay, hey, if you want to work here, you have to talk to the baby, but he won't see anyone. And she says, hey, I know that if I keep coming back, eventually he'll see me. Then we cut to Tenma. Then we cut to Heckle, and Heckle and Dieter playing soccer. Heckle is really frustrated that Dream Team. Heckle is extremely frustrated that Tenma has left Dieter with him, right? The whole black market doctor thing didn't work out, and now he's living in with a kid. I hate this, right? So they play soccer for a little bit, and then we cut to Tenma, who is at a Nazi bar, and he's looking for someone. He gets in a fight with some of these Nazis, holds one of them at penpoint, and does the whole, I can blow out this artery and you'll bleed to death. They give him the information that he wants, and he goes and finds a detective. The detective who was one of the people who picked him up after Nina Fortner's parents were murdered, who he assumed was on Johann's payroll. The detective kind of confirms this and says that, he went and bought a bunch of drugs with his cut of the money, and now he's strung out, and he was fired from the police force, and he's been trying to find a way back in, trying to find someone who can protect him, and there is an organization that's moving in the shadows that is interested in Johann, and he's been working with them a little bit, but also someone showed up a few weeks ago and held him at gunpoint and asked him for the same information, and that someone was Nina Fortner. This chapter kind of, this big reveal, then we cut back to the girl at the club. Obviously Nina, she gets in to see the baby. There's a fun sequence where he's introduced. We'll talk about the needle drop in a little bit. And the baby reveals that he is going to be using Nina as bait so that he can draw in Johann, who he believes is Germany's new Hitler. And that's chapter 26. A lot of setup in this chapter, I think.
A lot of setup, but it's exciting setup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool things going on. Just going through it piece by piece. I want to start with, so like we said, it opens in color, and the color's a lot more useful here than it was last time.
Mm-hmm.
You're at a club, there's people and clothes and lights and, and the color
You've got a neon
to...
sign buzzing, and it's very fun, yeah.
Yeah. I do think there's something fun, or not necessarily fun, but something interesting. So one thing I mentioned in, I think, episode 1, was that Urasawa was great with women, and I stand by this. There is, on page 2, 2 panels, one of which is dedicated to Nina's butt, and the other to her chest. But here's the fucking thing. Even when Urasawa is explicitly trying to evoke the male gaze, this is the chastest titty and ass shot I have seen in my life. There is no sexual energy here.
There is not a wrinkle in that dress.
Like it is just enough to get the idea that people are staring. It puts you, it's like, okay, here's what's going on here. This person is sexualized. Somehow, without egregiously or painfully sexualizing them. Do you have thoughts on this?
I mean, my first note for this chapter is, oh no, Nina Fortner's hot now. So, that is one note that I had. One thing I think it's talked about very professionally, the fact that sex work exists and is a thing that happens, and at least in the way, it's clear Nina's using this as like an in so she can talk to the baby, but like the way that she talks about sex work is very professional. It's a thing that she has a handle on. She's not letting these dudes take advantage of her. When we cut back to her at the bar, there's a guy who keeps trying to get handsy with her, and she's not having it. She slaps him away. And I think it's very clear throughout this section that, she is in control.
Yeah. Urasawa,
she pulls one gun in this section, and she has another gun later on. She's
strapped.
She is in control always. Yeah. I think is probably the follow up to what you said about this is the male gaze, but she's using it to her advantage. It's a tool, I think.
Yeah, exactly. You said something interesting in your summary that made me realize something which I would have not thought of as someone who's read this multiple times, but with the lipstick and the color, it's easy to miss that this is Nina until a bit later in the chapter where he see her in black and white without the lipstick, looking straight at the camera, and it's like, oh shit, that's Nina.
Well, I made a note, her eyes change at one point. Right? She's doing the hot girl eyes for a little bit. She's doing the Ava eyes. But then something happens and she gets scared, and you're like you said, she looks at the camera, it's, oh shit, that's Nina. It's Nina eyes again.
Yeah.
It's good. The last thing about the color that I had was, it starts in full color and then goes to monochromatic and then to black and white, which I think is like a fun touch.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is a fun touch. Yeah. So, and then you've got
Heckle
this
and
little
Dieter.
2-page...
You said dream
Heckle
team?
and Dieter. The chemistry on these two is unreal. They're so much fun together. Dieter is, throughout this reading, Dieter gets a lot of awesome, like, straight up badass moments.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fun. He's really cute. He's such a cute kid, but, like, also, like, a very capable character. An almost oddly capable character.
He's a good kid character. Off mic, we talked a little bit about how I really feel that this section is like an adventure story. Mm-hmm. And I think the Dieter stuff is like a real strong indicator of that. I mean, this is like an 80s movie where you have the kid character. I mean, if you think about like what Temple of Doom, right? Short Round, this is the cool kid character in the adult movie.
He really is.
Doing stuff.
And it's like, it's this fun, like, straight man, funny man routine where Otto is like, what the fucking soccer? What do I care? What do I care about soccer? And Dieter's like, you can't you can't hold it with your hands. That's a yellow card. He's like, shut up! It's
well, then
so
he gives
funny.
him a red card for swearing. Is the thing, because he swears at him after the card. That's my favorite part of this section.
He swears at him.
He says, well, now it's a red card.
Oh my god, they're so funny. And now we go to a Nazi bar, and now it's time for an interlude.
Oh boy.
Where we talk a little bit about Naoki Urasawa and race. Which is, he's good at it.
Yeah, I had written down that it was time to talk about it this time. So it's time to talk about it.
It's time to talk about it, and, like, here's kind of my thing. I think that Urasawa thinks more and harder about race than any other mangaka I have personally encountered.
That's a big statement, Quinn.
I don't think, here's the thing, it's a low bar. Because, like, the most like engagement with race you get in a manga is like fantasy racism that's really weird a lot of the time, right? But this is a guy, Urasawa's a guy who spends a lot of time thinking about real world racism in, like, engaging in real world history and attitudes, which is just not, like, it's not a very common thing at all. Partially because most manga isn't set in the West and isn't concerned with what's happening in the West.
Yeah. I just want to say, and I'm not going to talk about this too long because I don't think I have a fully formed opinion on it, but I will say, you know, I part of the premise of the show is I'm not a big manga guy. I'm not a big anime guy. The thing that I see all the time, whenever I see it most when there's live action adaptations of anime that are announced. And anime fans freak out over, you know, what they see as, you know, changing the race of characters to deal with diversity and stuff like that. You know, there's this, I guess, idea that the default should be Japanese or white or things like that. There's anime and manga. Look, not that Western media is any better, but it seems like anime and manga in particular have a really fraught relationship with race. In seen in stuff like, you know, Attack on Titan is one of the most popular anime franchises maybe ever. I don't know. And I have not read or watched that show, but everything that I understand is the way that it handles race in the back half of that series is incredibly dicey. So it's a topic that I think there's a lot of assumptions that are made about it just because people don't get explicit about, like, hey, I'm going to talk about race in what we're doing here. Race is a component of this story. And it just kind of, it's that assumption of, hey, the default is the straight white male or something like that, right? It seems like layers over a lot of this. So it's really interesting to see, like you said, and we talked about this a little bit in earlier episodes in Cut It, but that Urasawa is very concerned with real world racial tension is in the back half of the 20th century, like as this stuff is happening.
And this isn't the only work that racism comes up in. Race is a massive component in Billy Bat. It's really important in Billy Bat. And of course, it's. I think it's also important in Pluto, although that is kind of engaging with.
Pluto's the fantasy racism kind of thing, a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
fantasy
like
racism, robot racism. But yeah, but there's other stuff here too, which I think is interesting, right? And specifically focusing back on Monster. This reading gives us a very clear thing where it's like Tenma is an Asian man in Germany. These are neo-Nazis. He is specifically in danger from them because of his identity.
Yeah.
You know, and there's other stuff too with some Turkish folks that come in later. And even though people don't remark on Tenma having an accent, because we said in a previous episode nobody ever mentions him having an accent. So he doesn't have an accent, but people do notice other cultural habits of his. Maurer, for example, remarks that he likes that Japanese bowing thing. You know, so like Urasawa is not just interested in being like, oh, my main character is Japanese because, like, I want to talk about it because that's the default. Tenma's a Japanese character on purpose. It's important that he is a Japanese person in Germany and that the story is about him, or at least the story, the narrative makes this an important thing. It doesn't just pop him here and say, all right, now go. You know, it causes problems that Tenma has to deal with. So the racial dynamics of Monster, I don't know. Everything's connected, you know? You got your politics, you've got your thematics, the whole, you know, you got your fucking Nazis, the right-wing stuff is important. The picture will resolve as we read further, but I wanted to shine a light on it because we have Nazis and there's a lot of Nazis in this reading.
There's a lot of Nazis in this reading.
Whoa.
And there was a split second when I started reading this where I thought the Nazis might, you know, because I thought there might be some affinity with the Japanese because, you know, the Japanese were allied with the Nazis during World War II.
Sure.
But then I forgot the Nazis have no consistent ideology and they're just horrible fucking racists, right? Is the thing. And they call him some slurs. It's a whole big thing. Another character later on tells him it is not safe for him to go inside of this bar because of, you know, his skin tone and things like that. So it is, it's the word that I learned a few years ago, reading a little bit of theory that has really just become important for me in thinking about things is material conditions, right? And I think that is just going to continue to determine a lot of how we read this. So that's probably, I don't know. I don't know if we have too much more race to talk about for right now, right? We can just kind of pick on plot stuff.
I think we got most of what I was trying to say here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to it. Tenma does like we said, holds the dude at pen point. Very good line there, Matt. It was so good I wanted to say it myself. There is an odd moment as Tenma's about to get away and the Nazis are like, get him! And then he has his gun. And then for some reason, he says, whoa. Like, I guess it's like a horse.
It's like saying a horse. Yeah.
It just seems like a strange translation.
He's telling him not to mess with him. You know, he's got a gun. He's not afraid to use it. It is weird, though. I when it happened, I was like, oh, hey, okay.
Oh, all right.
Hey, what do you think of this train station scene?
I feel like I just talked a lot, so I was going to ask you what you think of this train station scene.
I think it's really good. I think it is. It's Tenma. He is being. I mean, he's a badass. He's a machine, right? He has the interrogation thing down to a T, right? Like, he knows everything about this guy. He's done his research. He shows up. He is like, he's a little bit almost even cruel, right? Where there's a line where he says, yeah, your dealer's not going to come and sit with you until I leave. I'm the one who's in control here. I know you're going through withdrawal, right? It is, he knows what he wants and he's there to get it. And the detective is just like, he's a mess. I think there's some good lines. Is there anything you want to call out before I say like what I think is the key line of this conversation?
I also had a note. Messner looks bad.
Oh, he looks rough.
There's a lot of. I think there are a few key points in this conversation. I think the only one that I want to call out right now. We can come to the other ones later, but I just want to call out a Tenma badass moment. No. Don't get up. The gun under my jacket is pointed right at you.
It's really good.
Fucking, like, that is
I read it out loud.
Shit.
I read over it and then read it again out loud just so I could hear how it sounded, because it's that cool.
There's a lot of lines in this reading that are fun to read out loud. Matt, what do you have to point out? Because there's some stuff here.
Well, the one I have written down is Messner, when he's talking about what happened, he says he gets like 1,000-yard stare for a second, and he says a darkness was created when the wall came down.
Yeah.
When he's talking about
the Berlin Wall came down, a great darkness was created, a monster was born. Oh. Yeah. Now, this is interesting, right? So we mentioned, like, the Berlin Wall has come up a couple of times. The Berlin Wall coming down is some kind of important like fracture point or break point for the story, and we as the readers are really like, only kind of finding out why and what it did in bits and pieces, which I think is really, really interesting.
It just keeps coming back up, and I think it's interesting. It reminds me a lot of, there's this idea that in the early 20th century, the world wars unleashed this postmodern darkness, right? The atom bomb, all this stuff like that. You have all like after World War I, you have T.S. Eliot, The Wastelands, all that stuff. And then after World War II, you have all these, just like all of postmodernism comes out of how terrible the world wars were, right? And it shows up in stuff like Twin Peaks, really literally. And I just always think it's an interesting thing to think about, how the world has been broken by just the evil that mankind has done. And the Berlin Wall was never one that I had considered in that kind of list of things. So it's interesting to see it being kind of the pivot point for this story, the thing that makes it go.
Yeah, well, it's not. Well, the Berlin Wall itself isn't the pivot point. It's the Berlin Wall coming down, which is even more interesting to me because we kind of
we see that as in the history classes that I took here in the States,
it's an uncritical good as far as we're taught, and so it's interesting to see it positioned here as some kind of causative moment for horror and evil,
ripping open the universe and letting chaos seep in.
Yeah. So there's something there. I want to see how Urasawa carries this thread forward. Also, another thing to mention is just that we learn a little bit of backstory about the baby who we'll meet later in this chapter. We learn that he is a right-wing big shot who plays leadership roles in both the German Racial Purity Party and the Revolution and Progress Party. He settled in the East after the wall came down. After the wall came down, he went to the East. Tried to make the city exclusive for pure-blooded Germans, but it didn't work out. And I just think that's another point. Like, he went east. I wonder if I'm sure that if you and me maybe knew more about the history of around that time period and what happened after it came down, maybe we could blow this whole thing open. But we don't know that.
Yeah.
You do get the feeling that Urasawa did his fucking research, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about
the baby.
Needle drop.
Yeah, the needle drop. Okay. Do you want to talk about what song it is? Because it seemed like you had a lot of affinity for it. I think it's really good, too.
I just think it's a really good needle drop. I don't have anything specific to say. I just think it's fucking great. If you have something specific to go for. Did you listen to it?
Oh, I did. I put it on while I read it. Yeah. I think that it begs you to do that.
It does.
So they bring Nina into, the back of the candy, the layer or whatever where the baby is. They tell her, hey, stand on this specific spot. That's almost like a hieroglyph of an eye. Like something that would come from a Egyptian museum or something like that. I
think it is an Eye of Wadjet. Yeah.
Okay. And then they drop the record to the Ronettes, Be My Baby, and the baby kind of waltzes in and has his little monologue. And I think it's extremely good. He's drawn with the suit that in animation they'll do this a lot, right? Where it's like a character will be wearing something that has a texture that's like a layer behind everything else that's going on. So as they move, the texture kind of stays static, but whatever's on their clothes is kind of changing and moving. Is that the right way of explaining it?
Yeah, I'd say, it's a hard thing to explain, but I think that you got it pretty well.
It's a really cool effect that I have always loved whenever I've seen it in cartoons. And it's cool to see it here in kind of a print comic format. I just always think it's slick, and it adds to the effect of this kind of goofy, larger than life kind of cartoon character.
The baby is definitely cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which makes him kind of unsettling in a world of otherwise quite realistic people.
Yeah, all of the shots of his face are weird and distorted just from the angle that they're at.
Yeah, he's a weirdly proportioned little dude. I think it's also notable that this is another evil character who does not open his mouth.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah, I don't know. This maybe like two characters now, right? So I'm starting to wonder if this is some kind of a through line, if this is like a shorthand for Urasawa. Maybe he just draws evil characters and like unconsciously associates evil with not opening your mouth and with remaining hidden.
Right, we had the doctor in the last reading.
Exactly.
Dieter's foster dad, and now the baby. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. That's the end of that chapter, I think. I don't we talked a lot about that one.
I think that chapter has the most to say about it by a pretty long shot. And the other crazy thing about it is that like it's so dense. We had so much to say. It's an easy read. It fucking flows. By. It and you read it and like you have all this information, but it's not hard to integrate. You're never like getting confused. You're never like what's going on. You're hungry for the next thing. It's a really, really great chapter. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Chapter 27. Professor Gedrich. Let me flip through. Yeah, this chapter, not a whole awful lot happens specifically. Dieter and Otto go to a store to hawk a rug. Otto sees a rug in there that he wants to steal. Meanwhile, Tenma meets a Turkish prostitute who is looking for her friend who was kidnapped by the Nazis. Tenma gets hit by a fucking car. It was the baby. We don't know what happens to him. Well, we do. He gets tortured. is what happens to him. Nina. Should we be calling her Nina or Anna?
So she's still going by Nina here.
Okay,
I think in this chapter, Nina. But I don't know. Is she? Should we call her Anna? Is she Anna the rest of the time?
I think she's mostly Nina.
Okay, she's Nina.
We can always change later. Nina goes and meets with Professor Gedrich, who eats fruit creepily, and waxes poetic about Johann. And we learn that the baby and the right wing is planning on torching the Turkish neighborhood that night. And then Nina is being kept in a room, and she talks to the prostitute we mentioned earlier through the sink, and it's reiterated the neighborhood is gonna go the fuck up, and that's what happens in chapter 27. So you can see a pretty stark difference in items of action here between this one and the last one. But no worse a chapter for that.
Yeah, I really liked this chapter. I'm going to start at the back, I guess. And
sure.
So the big reveal at the end of that chapter is, hey, the right-wing party is going to torch the Turkish neighborhood. I think the setup for revealing that that's what they're going to do is really good. Because in the previous chapter at the Nazi bar, the Nazis say, okay, well, you're either a Japanese guy or a Turkish guy. At the beginning of this chapter, when Heckel and Dieter are rolling around, Heckel remarks, okay, I grew up here. This city's completely different. This is a Turkish neighborhood now, I guess. And then there's the introduction of the Turkish sex worker, like you said, and then it's suddenly it's Chekhov's gun, but for a hate crime, I guess.
Fuck.
It's not. I don't feel good saying that, but
Chekhov's hate crime. Yeah,
that is what it is. I mean, it's setting it up like, oh, obviously that's what the Nazis are going to do. And I think it's interesting that this arc has suddenly become about, I guess, Hitler specifically and dictators more broadly, right? Like, obviously the thing that they're calling to mind with this sort of burning a neighborhood is like Kristallnacht and stuff like that. So it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, kind of spoilers for the rest of the episode, kind of, because it seems like this angle might fall out a little bit, but it's interesting that the Nazi stuff is so heavy here.
I don't necessarily know if it falls out. It just seems that this arc, like It's it's if these 6 chapters are kind of a standalone movie, right? The arc of this movie, the core conflict, is not the core conflict of Monster, where what's up with Johann. The core conflict that we're dealing with right now is the more immediate one. They're gonna try and torch the Turkish quarter, right? You know, and so I don't think that it fades so much as it is. This instance of it is resolved, and then the story.
Well, I think the big thing is they're torching the Turkish quarter because this is like their way that they're welcoming Johann to the city, right? Because they believe him to be their next Hitler, right? And that's like their obsession with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I guess I don't know how it plays out. But so we can talk about it a little bit more as it happens. But I do think, it's a good. Going back again to like some stuff that we talked about off pod, I have no clue how this book fills out 9 volumes. I mean, we've read 2 so far, and I cannot imagine everything that it's going to do to get to where it goes. So I'm curious to kind of keep a handle on it. And it's interesting as new angles for who's interested in Johann and why kind of pop into and out of the story.
Yes, yeah, I think, the questions of who's interested in Johann and why are really cool, and there's some cool stuff to talk about. In fact, I think maybe the most interesting thing is that stuff. Real quick before we get to that, there is that bit, like I said, where he meets the prostitute, who is just a really cool person. I like her design a lot. And we also in this chapter and the other ones, again, we talk about how Urasawa intentionally depicts race, focusing a lot on the noses. Again, with when it comes to this, her nose and her jawline are, I'm not going to say like distinctly Turkish. These are lines on a fucking page. But what they are is distinctly different from other depicted races that we've seen so far, right? The racial language that Urasawa uses, this is clearly a different thing. And it's just, it's cool to see Urasawa put that effort in and do so in a way that I think is respectful. So, kind of the meat of this chapter is in Nina's conversation with Professor Gedrich, which, there's some interesting stuff in here. Matt, you want to take this one away?
Yeah, hey Quinn, remember when you told me that you didn't think that this story had religious allusions? A little bit when I read the thing about the dragon and the monster at the start?
It's been haunting me. It's been haunting me ever since. I can't, I keep thinking about, the listener who, monster is fresh in their mind. It's the podcast ghost syndrome. Yeah, they just finished reading or watching it, and they're like, oh, great, a podcast, and then they start this, and then there's my dumb fucking mouth going, I don't know how important Christianity is. They're just gonna stop listening right there. But I was wrong. I was wrong, please. If you're listening to this and your friend dropped it, tell them I know I'm wrong.
It's so good. It's so good. So the big speech, right, that Dr. Gedrich gives Nina is, he talks about Hitler a lot and talks about, oh, hey, Hitler came to power he wooed the military complex, the military itself, and then I think business, right? And was extremely charismatic. Johann's always been charismatic. And then I think he looks directly at the camera and is like, almost like how Jesus was charismatic. And Nina has this shocked look on her face. And that's kind of the bit for a while where it's introducing why the Nazis want Johann. But Quinn, do you want to talk about the repeated imagery that gets used with the fruit here over and over again?
The fruit.
Do you know where I'm going to go with this? Okay. So the shot, like you mentioned, Dr. Gedrich is very creepily eating fruit, which I think is always good. There's a movie that I really like. It was You Were Never Really Here. It's a Joaquin Phoenix movie where the trailer makes it seem like it's going to be a John Wick, and it's not. It's something that's very quiet and sad and violent. And there's an incredible scene near the end of the movie where a young girl that has been abducted is in this lavish mansion eating food that is cold and disgusting looking, and it's extremely unsettling, and that's it's a similar kind of setup for the shots that are happening here. But Dr. Gedrick, the frame that keeps coming back in this and the next couple chapters is there are 3 or 4 pears, and sitting on top of those pears is a dragon fruit,
which is a spiky fruit.
It's a spiky fruit. Do you remember what it's not the, what do we call the thing that starts the reading?
Epigram.
Epigram? Do you remember what the epigram was? It was the passage from Revelation about the beast and the dragon. Do you remember what I said the reading of the beast and the dragon was?
Fucking dragon fruit.
It's a dragon fruit. Do you remember what I said the reading about the beast and the dragon is? Because there's 2 of them. It's an alliance between state powers and something that is satanic and monstrous.
My God. There's also Jesus Christ. Check this out, because I got another one. It's a dragon fruit. You know what a dragon fruit is?
What's that?
It's thorny. This is a crown of thorns.
It's so good.
Dude, I mean, you want to talk
so
about...
good.
Oh, man. Oh.
I love literature.
Oh. Yeah, fuck your blue drapes. This is a spiky fruit.
It's so good.
God. And also, a fun little touch that I think is easy to miss is that Gedrick puts a little clip onto a picture of
the
Johann.
skull clip. Yeah.
It's a Nazi death set clip. You know, it's just another reminder. This fucker's a Nazi. Just this guy's a fucking Nazi.
He's a Nazi.
Yeah. Oh man. Also,
those
Gedrick
are my notes for this chapter.
He keeps telling Nina. He keeps asking Nina to eat some fruit.
It's creepy.
It is creepy. He's also the second person after the baby to say that Johann is looking for her. He's like, Johann's gonna find you.
I don't like that. It makes me really nervous.
Yeah. The baby tortures Tenma for a little while.
With a pool cue.
With a pool cue. I think maybe the most interesting thing I have to say about this is just that sometimes he talks in baby talk, and it's super creepy.
Yeah, my note here was the uwu W's are fighting to make me hate my boy. Because the baby was my favorite of Urasawa's, of so far in this story, the kind of weird, quirky characters that we've had. When he showed up, I was like, oh, I like this guy. And then there were the uwu W's all through this, and I was like,
Nazi. Ooh, Nazi.
No.
A little, what?
Ooh, I'm a Nazi.
I'm a Nazi. Hey everybody, what do you think the baby's Discord server would look like?
Oh gosh.
The baby is a Discord mod. The baby's that's Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, no, it's called Candy because that's the name of the club.
Oh, Candy. Oh god, that's terrifying. Now I'm done thinking about this.
I don't want to think about this anymore.
No, I'm done. Yeah.
Do you have any other notes for this chapter?
No.
The only thing I have is hit by a car unexpectedly is always a good plot device. Always.
It is. You could argue. You could make the argument if you really wanted to be a Cinema Sins jerk, like, oh, what are the chances the baby has Dr. Tenma with his... Fuck you.
It's good.
It's a story. It's good. So it's good. Chill out. All right. Chapter 28. Aisha... Do you pronounce the S with the little thing?
I was saying Aisha. That's how I was
Aisha.
pronouncing it.
Yeah. Aisha's friend. Take it away.
Okay, so this chapter, I subtitled it Light the Fuse, Things Are About to Go Bad. It opens with Dieter and Heckle getting in a disagreement because Heckle wants to steal that rug. Dieter's like, you're a thief. Thieves are bad. I don't want to hang out with you. And he kind of wanders out into the street and finds the Turkish sex worker that Tenma had run into in the previous chapter. They have a conversation where she's holding her friend who has gone missing's baby and says, you know, her mom's gone. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to find her. And Dieter says, oh man, hopefully not. Like, I don't want that baby to be an orphan like me. And then the lady takes pity on him, brings him into the house, gives him dinner, and they have a conversation where it's revealed that she knows that Tenma was hit by this car because she was there. What are the odds? It's a nice clockwork thriller kind of series of events. A lot of stuff about families there. We kind of cut back and forth to Nina continuing to have that conversation with Aisha about how the Nazis are going to burn down the Turkish quarter. I think the baby continues to torture Tenma. There's some conversation, I don't think with Gedrick, but with some of the other Nazis where... Oh, no. It's with Tenma and the baby where he says that them trying to make him their new Hitler is a bad idea because Johann doesn't just hate a particular race, he hates the entire human race. Meanwhile, Dieter has decided he's going to go look for Tenma. He goes to the bar. There's a very good shot of Dieter sitting at the bar. Someone buys him a drink. He spits it out in the alley and starts lurking around trying to find Tenma and is picked up. And the chapter ends with Aisha being murdered as she tells Nina, thank you for promising to go and spread the word that things are going to go bad. Nothing good has happened to me since I came to Germany. You're the first good thing that happened. We're friends. And then she's brutally murdered as the chapter kind of ends.
Brutally murdered. And I am unfortunately looking forward to talk about it. I did just look it up. It's Aisha.
Aisha?
No. You're adding an extra thing. It's just Aisha.
Aisha. Okay.
Yeah, Aisha.
Got it.
Yeah. Another busy chapter. This sequence of chapters, it's pretty actiony. There's stuff going on. Even if the stuff isn't immediately dangerous, like really it's a gorgeous ticking clock
it goes.
film, you know, because it's just like that every second like it's getting like that fucking fire. Oh yeah.
I don't know. Is there a lot of... This one was mostly plot. The only thing that I had was the stuff about Dieter in the bar. I think they make him a Manhattan with the cherry. Which was heckle strength.
First things first. Gedrick sends Nina more fruit.
Yeah.
He sends her a fucking fruit basket while she's hanging out in the mansion. I don't know. I do want to wonder, Matt, I don't imagine a pear has any particular biblical significance.
I don't think a pear. I mean, the only thing that just like fruit. The only thing that just jumped in my head was like, I mean, there you have the traditional image of the serpent with the fruit for Eve, really. But like, I don't think that's this. This is so.
Yeah. There's a fun little bit of again the dragon fruit on top of the pears, and you just have Gedrish just looking at it, just like smiling.
Well, the thing that I noted was it looked like it was 3 pairs in this shot.
3 pairs this time.
Which I said, are we going to lose one of the pillars that's supporting Johann? What's happening? Because he kind of talked in the last one how there were 4 kind of people who supported him. It was Gedrick, Wolf, and then who knows who else.
There's about to be 3.
Yeah.
There are about to be 3. Yeah. Okay. A quick note. Baby and Tenma are talking about a dude named Wolf, like General Wolf. Tenma just says he was the one, like in that photo with Johann, and then the baby is like, "That's Master Wolf to you." And I think this is just an honorific thing. Just wanted to note this is like a translation thing. I imagine that Tenma just used a pronoun that the baby felt was not respectful enough. So then he whacked him with the pool cue. A great page. There's a great page here. Johann doesn't subscribe to your petty racist agenda. And I want to talk about how this page is set up. It's a cool page. So you start off at the bottom left of page 284. And Tenma goes, "You'll never convince Johann to lead your organization." And this is the right page, so now you go up to the left page. And the baby looks at him. Tenma lifts his head off the ground. "Johann doesn't subscribe to your petty racist agenda." We get a closer shot of the baby, looking fucked up. A closer shot on Tenma. "Johann despises the entire human race. And then we get a super close-up shot of the baby's face lit from below because he's evil. And then he, again, whacks him with a pool cue. And the pacing of this page is really good. Because it's this really, like, every time you see the baby, it's a little wham. It's just wham, wham, wham. A really cool... I think this is a great page. One of the more visually interesting pages in the reading, for sure.
Yeah, it's really good. I flipped to it so I could look at it, and I saw on the preceding page there was one plot note that I think I missed, was the baby reveals, okay, the burning of the Turkish quarter is going to happen on a schedule so that he can treat it like fireworks for his fancy dinner. Mm-hmm. Which is that's kind of like the winding up of the clock for the climax of this section. Yeah, totally.
And making sure that the reader doesn't forget that this is going on.
Right.
Yeah. Then we have this fun little 2-page Dieter's adventure where he goes into the bar.
It's good.
Matt, do you have any idea why he goes into the bar?
Well,
because he knows that Tenma isn't there anymore, right?
Yeah, I don't know why he goes in. I don't know. Maybe he thinks that Tenma's there?
It kind of just seems like this was
just a fun shot that Urasawa couldn't resist.
It is really fun. Yeah. I don't think, for what it's worth, I don't think it's a Manhattan. It's something else with a cherry, because the bartender shakes it, and you don't shake a Manhattan. I think it could be, well...
Do you think it's an olive, or do you think it is a cherry?
It's... Sorry for the tangent, everyone.
No, this is why we
true. The liquid is dark, so it's not a martini, not even a dirty one. I think most likely Urasawa just didn't know that you stir a Manhattan. I think that's the most likely explanation, because, like, I'm over here, like, what is it, a sidecar? I guess it could be a whiskey sour, but those are pretty traditionally over ice. I mean, it's not, you can have a whiskey sour up. You absolutely can. Up is a term used to describe a drink that is in a cocktail glass, such as a martini, or, I don't know, a whole bunch of other stuff. The drink that the Dieter gets here is served up. A Manhattan is served up. Thank you for explaining.
I was about to ask, why is it in that kind of glass? Yeah. Because they clearly have the other ones that you use
you want to tangent me? I'll fucking tangent. Listen, it's pretty simple. You put a drink up when you don't want ice in it. And there are a couple of reasons to not want ice in a drink. You don't have ice in a drink if dilution would hurt it, right? So a lot of times if you have a shaken drink that's already as diluted as you want, and shaken drinks usually have citrus in them, while stirred drinks don't. And again, that's dilution. Citrus doesn't taste good when it's diluted. A martini. There's another great example of a drink that has the perfect dilution going in. You don't want that to change. And all of this is like guidelines, not rules. But anyway, it's in that glass because you don't want ice in it. And if there's no ice in it, then a stem is preferable, because then your hand can be on the stem and it doesn't warm up the drink and it looks nice. And that's all the time we're going to waste on this. Thank you for listening. This was Quinn's Bar Corner. I do love Dieter so much.
I love Dieter. I love how he chugs the drink and all of the adults are like, holy cow, he chugged it. That kid's a legend.
Yeah, they're like, fuck. Oh, man.
It's great.
I do think it's funny the bartender just went along with it and he was like, yeah, I'll give this kid a fucking booze. Sure,
it was the 90s in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone was serving children liquor.
Yeah. And then we have the conversation between Nina and Aisha through the sink. And it is crazy how much pathos Urasawa packs into a sink.
Into a sink, yeah.
And the notes I took were, it's just like, there's something about the fact that they're having the conversation through the sink drain, right? One, it's an inherently desperate thing to do. Like, it's not through a wall, it's not under a door, it's through a fucking sink. And we engage with sync so often in our lives, like, it feels like you can hear the metallic echo of it, you know? Like, there's something about it that feels very grounding. And then she's murdered.
And then it sucks. I mean, like, I know that's the way that this genre of story works, but it does always... And, like, there's no other way for this to work out, right? To keep the plot ticking, but, like, it does suck, you know?
Do you want to talk about how it's shown to us? Because it's really something.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, Nina and Aisha are talking through the sink the whole time, and then suddenly it's the sink is whamming and slamming around, and Nina is shouting, asking her friend for help, shouting to stop into the sink. And then she looks up and hears a sound above, from where Aisha is. She runs up the stairs. The thing that I think is the most striking about this is when she opens the door to find the body, she grips onto the hem of her dress. And I couldn't figure out why she did that at first, but it's just like she is so overwhelmed by it, I think. It's
tears in her eyes and
well, it's first the sorrow, and then it changes to, I think, anger a little bit. With tears still in her eyes. It's a lot. It's rough.
It's a lot.
The shot that we see is just the legs of the bloodied body in the bathroom. I'm guessing they just beat her against the sink is what they did.
Something fucking awful.
Which
like that
sucks.
Yeah. Well, specifically, I think the thing that gets me is the page where the murder is actually happening, because you don't see the murder happening.
No.
You only hear it.
You just hear it.
You hear it through the fucking sink. You know, on the page before, she asks Aisha what her kid's name is. And she's like, Aisha? And the bottom of the page is just a panel of the sink drain and the sound effect, wham! And the next page is just, again, like, shots of the sink drain with these awful fucking sound effects. And it's one of the most, like, upsetting fictional murders I've experienced, and we don't see a drop of blood. It's brilliant. It's just the worst.
Yeah, it's rough. One last thing that I missed in the summary, the way that this chapter ends is two guys show up at the candy to kind of talk to the baby and say, hey, Wolf is here. They shoot one of the baby's guys.
Oh, they've also got Dieter. They kidnapped Dieter. We might have forgot to mention that. They did snag that. They did snag the boy.
They've got the boy. They shoot one of the baby's guys and say, like, yo, why are you harassing Dr. Tenma? He is a guest of General Wolf. We're taking him and the boy, and we're going. And so there's some kind of, like, fun faction infighting, which is always good. And that's how, I think that's how the chapter ends.
It is. Yeah.
Chapter 29?
Chapter 29, which I believe is me.
Yes.
Chapter 29, Wolf's Confession. Nina goes out into the mansion ready to kill some Nazis. They've all been killed for her. She is alone in a mansion full of dead Nazis. Meanwhile, Tenma and Dieter are in the car with these dudes, and Tenma holds a gun to one of their heads so that Dieter can get out and go back to the Turkish neighborhood to warn everyone. Then Tenma meets with General Wolf, who says, basically that, hey, Johann killed everyone who ever knew me. You should kill him. Which is what they twist. And we learn some very important things. And Dieter gets back to Calvin Street is the core of the neighborhood. Then Dieter and Otto get got by some Nazis. These fucking Nazis, they're all over, right?
Well, it's speak of the devil and they shall appear. I think Otto's like, yo, kid, shut up. The Nazis are going to get us. And then the dudes in the park turn around and it's the shot of the swastika on his shoulder.
Exactly. And then Nina goes to a warehouse, which Johann left a note about, and is surprised by something. And that's everything that happens in this chapter.
Yeah. It feels shorter than the other chapters. It's good though.
Yeah. I mean, it's Urasawa's trick. You know, he can do whatever. It's pretty impressive. Oh, hey, wait, hold on. I just noticed something. Wait, now there's 4 pairs again. Okay, so
yeah,
Urasawa
but they
just
tumbled
forgot
over.
a pair.
The pairs are tumbled over now.
They did tumble.
Yeah.
They did tumble over. They did. Yeah. Matt, thoughts about this chapter?
Yeah. So I had to flip back to the previous chapter a little bit when I read this. I was a little confused on the logistics. For some reason, I had thought that Tenma and Dieter were in the basement of that house, but they were just in the basement of the club.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh wait, how did Dieter find out about the plan to burn down the Turkish quarter? And it's because the baby was like monologuing about it when they brought Dieter in. So the logistics confused me a little bit, but it all shakes out. Let's see. I wrote down as the chapter started, did we immediately toss the neo-Nazis because someone realized that Johann wasn't the next Hitler, but something else or something worse? And Wolf's monologue kind of confirms that a little bit, right? Where he says, like, he's not Hitler, he's something else.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's kind of the thing is that the neo-Nazis want Johann to be their Hitler. They think he's their Hitler. But Johann, you know, as Tenma says, Johann does not subscribe to their petty racist agenda, right? Johann's doing his own shit. It's just that Nazis are easy to manipulate.
Right.
You know, but he obviously doesn't care anymore for Nazis than anyone else because, as we said, Nina is alone in a mansion full of dead fucking Nazis. And there's a great page that's just a full page spread of her standing alone in a dark hallway being like, they're all dead.
Body after body after body, yeah.
That opening sequence is really cool, because like she has her gun and it looks like she's about to do a cool like action hero time, but there's no one left for her to shoot. Ugh.
Yeah. I don't think you said it explicitly. So Wolf says, hey, Johann got here before I did. He killed everyone and left this graffiti. Yeah.
That's important. Johann was the one who did all those murders. Right.
And I think you just talking about Nina with the gun made me remember no, actually that line comes later. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that now.
All right.
The other big note that I have here is when Wolf is giving his when Wolf is doing the backstory of how he found Nina and Johann. The line that jumped out at me here. Well, we get the shot of them on the Czech border.
Yes.
Their backs to the camera, which it's great. I love that one every time it comes up.
It's important.
It's good. But the thing that he says is, "I saved their lives just as you did, Dr. Tenma." Which is good.
That is good. Oh, that is cool. Actually, I missed that. You hear there's some fun stuff with General Wolf. You know, General Wolf he's like, look, I'm General Wolf. Tenma's like, how could you have changed in 10 years? Wolf says, terror. Abject terror. He doesn't look scared, though. He looks really sad. And we find out later, there's also an odd, like, little cutaway to Dieter in the truck with an old guy, and it's like this funny little comedy bit in this very serious chapter.
Well, I was a little bit confused by Johann's line in Wolf's flashback where, you know, Wolf asks Johann how he feels, and he says, "You'll know soon enough." And Wolf kind of goes on to explain what he thinks Johann meant by that was Johann was completely alone when Wolf found him, and that is what Johann has made him, completely alone. He's killed everyone he knew.
Yeah. That's correct.
And the thing that the little like question mark that's still hovering in my head is, okay, what is different about the way that Wolf saved Johann and the way that Tenma saved Johann, right? Where Tenma saves Johann kills all these people to make Tenma's life better. Wolf, quote, you know, I'm doing air quotes now, saves Johann, and Johann dedicates his life to wiping out everyone that Wolf has known. So there's something that Wolf's not telling us, and that kind of they hint at that a little bit in the next chapter, that Wolf has brought Tenma in here to manipulate him a little bit into being he's aiming him at Johan in the hopes that Tenma will kill Johan. But I don't know if we come back to that or not, but it was something that jumped out at me a little bit.
I think it's an interesting point. What's different between the saving?
Based on some of the reveals at the end of this reading, I have like mechanical thoughts on what could be different, but I don't know for sure.
I think it might just be that Urasawa wanted Johan to do different things, so he did.
And like, also, we just know Wolf's like not a great guy. I mean, he threw him in this horrible orphanage and stuff like that. So it could just be as simple as that, right? Like, Wolf is a bad person, Tenma's a good person.
You know what? No, there is a reason, and I don't like it.
Okay.
There is a reason, and it pisses me off a little bit. We'll get to it later.
Yeah, because I have some thoughts about
I bet we're
what they find in the
place.
warehouse, and I think
which, like, yeah. Anyway, but that aside, you'll know soon enough. It's fucking scary.
Yeah, it is.
Like, the line that gets me is, nobody can know who I am unless they believe me. And, and it's lonely. And so this is kind of what's forming my current theory of Monster, which is that it is about what loneliness can do to people. And maybe somehow, right, the darkness that occurred when the Berlin Wall came down was in some way loneliness. And I don't know if we've got evidence for that. I don't. It's just a shot in the dark right now, but I'm just trying to put the pieces we have together. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the thing that gets shouted all the time, right, like on social media and stuff, is we live in an age where people are so disconnected. Everyone's more lonely than they've ever been before, right? That seems like the theme of the modern era that we live in is loneliness.
Yeah, but were people harping on that the same way in the mid-90s?
I don't think so.
Like, but
it feels like it's a rip that's just been getting wider and wider and wider. And I mean, if you ask the people who say that stuff, they would probably say, "Oh, and it started with World War II and stuff like that." But I don't know.
Hard to say.
All
right. Yeah, and then Wolf is like, "I want you to kill Johan," which is a fun thing to happen in this story because it's not what you expect. Or at least it's not what I expected. And we know that my expectations aren't always accurate. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for this chapter.
That's chapter 29. Chapter 30, this is when stuff kicks out. Kicks off. Main dish. This is a good title for this section. So I'm just gonna flip to it real quick so I can look at it because I have my notes. Okay, so what happens here, Tenma leaves the mansion and immediately pulls his gun again and tells the drivers that he needs to go back to Frankfurt so he can make sure that everyone in the Turkish quarter knows that they're going to burn it down. And then we kind of do some intercutting back to Dieter and Heckel, who the Nazis have kidnapped and put in this warehouse that they're going to burn down. Tenma goes and finds Aisha's friend that he'd met earlier. He realizes Dieter's not with her, and then they go about the work of trying to warn the neighborhood leaders that this fire is going to happen. There's kind of some conflict where people don't want to believe him because he's Japanese, and that also, hey, they're hearing about right-wing plots against them every day. If they were to take all of them seriously, where would they be? But then an older guy comes out and is like, no, there was a Japanese general who helped the Turkish Navy when they got lost. We're going to listen to him. And they rally up all the local leaders and kind of get in place to start putting out fires as they happen, which they do start happening. We cut back up to Candy. The baby is up on the roof with two women, and he's explaining, okay, we're going to have this beautiful, nice, long, lavish meal, and the city's going to burn down while we watch, and it's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. But then Nina shows up, holds him at gunpoint.
She's got a gun.
Nina's got a gun. She always has a gun. And she, over and over and over again, I think, is saying to the baby, Johan didn't want this. Why are you doing this for Johan? This isn't what Johan wants. They argue for a bit. Tenma's trying to put out the fires. She gets the baby to let her know kind of what the big spot that he's going to hit is. And she runs off to the warehouse where she finds Heckle and Dieter. But then there's the realization, I think Heckle is the one who explains it. Because, again, we set up, he grew up here in the city. He says that where they were was a decoy because the wind changes every night and goes in the other direction. So the real, like, big fire starter is somewhere that none of them have expected, and they still need to find it. And the chapter ends with, it's a great page. It's an incredible page. The background behind Nina goes completely black. She has the realization that she's been duped. And then we cut back to Tenma and all of the Turkish community leaders. And he says, the wind stopped. And then we cut back to the baby and he says, now, finally, the main dish. Lit from below with the villain shot. It's great. I love it.
It's good. It's good. It's a good chapter. Yeah, I don't have a whole awful lot of notes here, but there are a couple. First off, I think it's fun when Tenma goes, I'm not working for anyone, I'm going to kill Johan for my own reasons. So I think that's a good line. One thing I want to point out is just, like, the Nazis are really... Listen, nobody, don't clip this. Don't clip this. Actually, I'm going to phrase it in a way so that
just
you
don't
can't
say it. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. I love the way the Nazis are drawn. I think the Nazis are a lot of fun to look at. Because, again, I've talked before about how I think Tenma's really good at constructing faces. And just look at these Nazis and all of the different facial features and structures that Urasawa's using here. They all look pretty different from each other. And he's not, like, leaning into... None of these characters are super strictly ugly. But they are sinister. And they're sinister in different ways. Like... Urasawa is interested in depicting individuals as individuals, and he'll even do it for the fucking Nazis. And to prove a point, to represent them in an interesting way. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. No. He draws a lot of good characters.
Just some good characters over here, man.
Is there the bit with the baby wetting himself because he was so terrified of Nina? That's in this chapter?
What? That is, I believe. Yeah, that's in this chapter. It's a bit later.
Yeah, because he says, that girl sure is Johan's twin. She was ready to kill me. He says, all right, bring on the main dish, but also I need a new pair of pants.
Yeah. My note for that is piss baby.
Piss baby.
I think the little sequence between Tenma and the Turkish community leaders is interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's perfect. What is perfect? It has... Okay. There's stuff about it that interests me. Because, one, it is, dare I say, intersectional in its concerns. Right? You've got Tenma over here, he's Japanese. You've got these Turkish folks. You've got sex work. Right? Like... Yeah. And so, like, this sequence is really interested in talking about the dynamics between those things. On the one hand...
And how they're all minorities, too, in this location.
Yes. It's really cool. Tenma says sex work is work, motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. Tenma says, you know very well she was just trying to survive. There is, however, a flavor of main character comes in to kind of do a little bit of finger wagging at this other ethnic group and set him straight a little bit.
Yeah.
There's just a bit of that going on.
Yeah, I think I groaned a little bit, but I don't think it's bad. I just think it's it is what it is.
There's a fun little bit where a couple of the Turkish guys make a couple of Japanese jokes at Tenma's expense. Mm-hmm. It's I guess I don't have anything like particularly insightful to say about it, but I think it is, if nothing else, an interesting space for Urasawa to be exploring. As I said earlier in the episode, it's a space that you don't really see explored in manga pretty much ever. Anyway, yep. Then Nina threatens the baby, and there's some cool little cutaway shots to Tenma fighting the fires. And then quick cuts back. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's good. It's tight. It's an action movie. I think this and the next chapter especially.
Yeah. Oh, this is important. So, Dieter and Otto tied up in the place. The Nazis just set fire to it. Guess who saves their asses? Nina Fortner. She rocks up, puts out the fire, breaks in. She's full-on action hero over here.
She's always got that gun.
Yeah.
And she's doing it in heels, too, is the other thing.
Yeah, man!
She's kicking ass.
She's the best. Alright. Chapter 31. Reunion. Yeah,
this one's you. Yeah.
Tenma is being a doctor. Nina and Otto are trying to figure out... Well, Nina and Dieter are trying to make Otto help them figure out where the actual fire is going to be. Then Nina and Dieter go to an abandoned chemical factory, which is where they think the fire is going to be set. There's a Nazi there. And he's like, hey, I'm going to drop this lighter. Whole thing's going to go up in flames. Here we go. In the meantime, Tenma's run into Otto as he's stealing a rug and makes Otto take him to the factory. They all go there, and the fire is about to happen, and then Dieter stops it from happening because he's a badass. The baby's meal is ruined. Fucking baby. And it unfortunately it ends with
it's a cool sequence, but it just sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks. Like, it's such a good sequence.
It's a good sequence, and then Johann has 2 personalities. The 90s.
My Laban is about to explode. Neo Tokyo is about to explode.
Then the 90s rears its ugly head. It was gonna kick in eventually. But why'd it have to be like this?
The worst part is Lunga was right. It was someone with 2 personalities that did the murder.
Yeah. It just wasn't Tenma. God.
I mean, but the thing that I love about that bit, right, where they're at the water tower where it happened is how cold it looks, right? Like, it's a windy day, the hair is blown back, like, Otto is, like, in his jacket and stuff. Like, it's so grim and dark and cool, and then the reveal is Johann has 2 personalities. It sucks.
I think it might have been more shocking in 95.
Probably. Hey, this really does feel like a Batman chapter. I think it's the thing I realized partway through you describing it, like them going to a chemical plant that they're going to burn down.
What a good point.
We haven't pulled Batman in yet before, and I know you're a Batman historian, doing your Bat quest.
My Bat quest. I need to get back to my Bat quest. Man, if only I had started the Bat quest several years later. What a podcast that would have been. Woof. But one major media review podcast is enough, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that I have a lot to say about this chapter. This chapter is really... Because the thing about this chapter is that it's just executing on the setup. Like, everything that we've told you about how it's ramped up, you could probably get pretty darn close to how this chapter goes, just, like, playing it all out. So I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, my big note was I like how Nina and Tenma both don't want the other one to have to kill Johann.
Yes. Okay. Now that is the interesting thing. That is the interesting thing. Because both of those characters are people who are willing to. They want to be the ones to throw away their morality because they know that if they do a murder, that's what they're sacrificing. And like you talked about Batman, bringing Batman in. perfect here, because this is something that Batman stories talk about a lot, is like, hey, why shouldn't we kill people? What's the morality cost of killing people? And this angle on it is one that I think Western comics should really be taking more often, which is that, yeah, it is something that you can never take back. But now we have these main characters who are willing to do that. They're willing to take that step.
Yeah. The other thing I loved in that sequence was when Nina is getting ready to shoot the Nazi, she tells Dieter to close his eyes.
Yes. Yeah. She's like, Dieter, don't ever fucking do what I'm about to do, and don't watch.
Oh, the two just sweetest people in the world having to do the worst stuff over and over and over again, or getting right up to the line. I think it's good. It's compelling.
It is. Visually, there's a great spread. There's a great spread early on that's just like the warehouse in shadow and a lighter. And there's a little, the flame is in color. I love the way Urasawa uses spreads as an artist. You know, like we talked about in episode 1, like most spreads in both comic traditions are for large action-y sequences. But Urasawa's spreads always feel very still. They're when he
spacious.
Wants you to... Yeah, perfect word. You know, they're simple. Like, a bunch of this warehouse is totally in silhouette, in shadow. Like, there isn't a cloud in the sky. It's not a line out of place. It's really gorgeous. Yeah.
They put out the fire with Otto's expensive Turkish rug.
That he stole.
Nice little fun comical bit. Yeah, that he stole.
Yeah.
Nina hang
says,
on! I just found a page, the frame of Nina and Tenma finding each other, the split on either side of the mirror.
I don't like it.
I do, but I haven't finished the comic, so I it might not be as good when we finish it. But I like it, Quinn.
It's just like, I'm just hoping that my memory isn't totally shot, and I'm not. Like, there's no way I would have forgotten them getting together. There's no way I would have forgotten
I
them.
hope they
can't.
Don't.
They can't. I can't be that dumb. I just
They
can't be. But I don't like this. I don't like this mirror shot. Like, I like it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's also funny because the last we see of the baby, I don't know if we see him again later, but the last we see of him is just him, like, looking sadly at his meal and being like, my main dish is getting cold. Ugh. Yeah. That's it.
I like the stuff
and
of
the split
Nina
person
running along the dock. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's a fun, end of an anime episode bit,
Totally.
But yeah.
Yeah. And Johan has 2 personalities.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, again, I think it's pretty well established at this point that my memory isn't to be trusted. I don't know how much.
It could play out better than you remember.
I just don't know if. I just don't know if this actually is totally well, no, it kind of is. It is. It's like, how do I put this? He has 2 personalities, but they're both very violent and willing to do murders. Is the thing.
One
right?
is just a little worse than the other.
Yeah, it's like I guess it's a question of like what they want to reward or how they respond. Because like if we say, so like we were saying earlier, what's the difference between Tenma and Wolf? And maybe the difference is the personalities. Maybe Johan has a personality that wanted to reward Tenma for saving his life, and he did so through murder.
It's the same tool but
exactly.
It's just a different, it's punish versus reward.
Yeah, because it's really, like, I will say this, it isn't that Johan has a sweet, innocent child who's just being carried along for the ride. They're both doing the murders. It's all murder all the way down. But, yeah. Okay. Chapter 32. The 5th Spoonful of Sugar.
Quinn, this is my favorite chapter of the whole comic so far.
Yeah, baby!
It is so good. This is holy cow. Okay. So I'll do the summary and then we can talk about it. But the setup for this one is, Tenma and Dieter and Otto have left in their little boat, and Nina is still here. The police question her. She I think she switches back to saying that her name is Anna Liebert here as like a nice little alibi dealio, where like she was going by Nina Fortner the whole time that she was here, but then she tells the police her name is Anna Liebert. They let her go because her employer was able to show up and verify her identity that, yes, this is Anna Liebert. And her employer is a man named Rosso, who lives across the border into the region of Bavaria of Germany in a small village running an Italian restaurant. And then the rest of the chapter is us kind of jumping back and forth between Nina and Rosso having coffee in the present and kind of the story of Nina's employment at the Italian restaurant in the past. One important thing from the previous chapter was when Nina is getting ready to shoot the Nazi, he says, "Do you really think you could make that shot?" And she says, "At this distance, absolutely. I'm 100% accurate. I spent 6 months training." So that's kind of, we get the training montage a little bit here in the background. It's revealed that, while she's working at this Italian restaurant where everyone loves her, because of course they do. She's everyone's favorite girl next door. Nina Fortner, Anna Liebert, the waitress. My crush intensifies.
Matt has a crush.
Matt has a crush on a waitress.
God!
Not new,
Matt has
but always
a crush
fun.
on a waitress that can use a gun.
So Nina / Anna works at this restaurant and goes to the gun range every day and is practicing her shooting. While she's also making a friendship with this guy Rosso, who everyone in the village kind of teases. Oh, poor soft Rosso. He cries at movies. He's kind of a loser a little bit. He's a sap. There's a real good Rosso face of him kind of raising his eyebrows in disbelief that is. Feels unlike anything I've seen before. I think it's because of his nose and mustache shape, right? He looks great.
His design is one of the best.
He's fantastic. And then in the present, he's talking about how much he loves movies, and he's talking about, hey, maybe we should go see this one. I really like it, but it becomes clear, they're gonna have to split up. They can't stay together. Nina has a mission that she's on. And this is when kind of they're silent for a second, and then Rosso reveals, he kind of asks her, he's like, "Why did you never ask me for help?" And she kind of pretends not to know what he's talking about, and then he says, "No, you knew. I mean, you knew. That's why you found me." And then it's revealed. I think this might have even been set up in the first set of chapters, in one of the law lectures that Nina was taking.
No way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Because that's how she brings it up. She says it was a case that her professors talked about where there were 3 murders that were seemingly unrelated, but it was theorized that there was an assassin that did all 3 of them. And she reveals that, she figured out Rosso was this assassin. And when she got there, she realized that she couldn't ask him for help because she cared about him too much and didn't want to pull him into this web. She didn't want to get him tangled up with Johan. Yeah. And then Rosso kind of has a monologue where he talks about why he stopped working as a contract killer, where he says he was lined up to kill a guy at a cafe in broad daylight, had him in the sights, and watched this guy putting sugar into his coffee. 1 spoonful, 2 spoonful, 3, 4, 5, which is exactly how many Rosso takes in his coffee. And he says, I like, oh my word, I am almost about to start crying. He says, and this guy was drinking his coffee. He started to put the sugar on, and when he put the 5th spoonful in, suddenly I could taste the coffee the way I always drink it, and I lowered my gun, and that was it. After that, I couldn't kill anymore. And he kind of, they split up, and as they're leaving, he says, "Killing people is easy. You just got to forget the taste of sugar." Which, holy cow. And then I think they both leave crying. It is so good. It gets to the thing that we just spent a while talking about, right? Where it's killing someone is not something you can come back from. It's the line that you cross, and it's a hard line to cross, but at the same time, here he is saying it's easier than you think, right? All you have to do is forget that the person that you're killing is a person.
Ugh.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
It's
And it's such a neat metaphor, I guess, like
Mhm.
the taste of sugar. You know, it is such a human thing. It's such a relatable thing. It's a Urasawa firing on all cylinders on this one. Just that fucking thing he does where he's like, "Hey, you know that whole humanity shit? Watch this. I'm going to put it into one sentence." And I go, "No. No, you can't." He fucking does it.
But he did, because you can read it so many ways. You can read it the way that I just said. All you have to do is forget, that someone's a person. All you have to do is forget the taste of sugar. Can you ever taste it again after you've killed someone, right? Is it ever going to taste the same after you've done this thing?
Ugh.
It's just, there's so many different directions that it can go in. It's coming from the sweetest, nicest man that we have met in this comic so far.
And he's a fucking
contract killer for the mob,
But he's such a sweet fucking dude, And it's also interesting because he, his backstory is just that like he didn't really think about it. Like the mob just gave him money and food after he did the murder. He was like, "Hey, this seems fine," because he started when he was a kid. He didn't really realize what he was sacrificing in himself.
Yeah.
And you can tell that he carries that weight.
He just looks heavy all the time, and that's why he's always crying. The people in the town call him Crybaby Rosso. It's
and he cries at the movies, and one movie he's crying at, and he says, "To think they released this when I was a kid," and like what do you think Rosso's innocence means to him?
Eat your heart out, Leon the Professional. This is a better, holy cow. It pulls in, we've talked about how Urasawa is someone who clearly appreciates cinema and the movies, right? And it's like there's that, it's that same respect for, a love of film, right? It's here's a character who loves movies, right?
Yeah, specifically, the movie called out here is Summertime, with Katharine Hepburn and somebody.
Oh. I haven't seen that one. I'm not really an old movie person.
Yeah,
but...
me neither. Surprise, surprise. The manga podcasters haven't watched a lot of classic film. Sorry to let you down, everyone.
I've seen some Hitchcock, right? And I feel like that's what I need if I'm going to be doing media analysis.
That's true.
Yeah, I'll do my due diligence sooner or later. Hey, do you want to talk about how this lines up with the end of the first volume?
Yes, because there's some fucking, hey y'all, this is a parallel. This is an echo chapter, right? Because we had the one chapter where Tenma went off and hung out with the kind of murdery guy and learned to shoot a gun, and now we have this chapter where Nina goes off and hangs out with the ex-murdery guy and learns how to shoot a gun, and they're similar, but they're very, very different. And I do want to also mention that this is a soft Urasawa open, because we do open on something we recognize, Nina, but then we're introduced to Rosso, and for a couple of pages we're like, who's this guy? Even though Nina and him are obviously familiar. Matt, bring on the parallel.
Yeah, so the note that I wrote was, kind of what you said, both men are stories about hard men with dark pasts, teaching good people how to kill. And I think, the first obvious way that it's different is in that first chapter, in the Tenma one, it's, I guess both of them are kind of investigating this person who we haven't met before, but Tenma's not present in the first one at all. He's just kind of someone who's remembered. And I don't know. I don't really know where to go with this. I might clip this in the edit because I can't really figure out. I think you summed it up. I'm sure we could sit here and figure out deeper ways that these are the same and different, but it might just be surface level. But also, I think that works. I think echoing sometimes makes things mean more.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think maybe if there is a big difference, it's that Nina taught herself.
Yeah.
Nina just didn't have the heart to bring this guy into it.
Nina taught herself.
It's also cool that we're reminded that Nina's actually a really intelligent person, because she tracked this dude down that nobody else could. Right?
Yeah.
Fucking Detective Nina over here.
She's the best.
Nina is a cool character, who really gets a lot of time to be cool and be important in the series, and I just, Nina best girl.
Nina best girl. I'm ready to declare it now.
I don't know if she has a lot of competition
in Monster.
In Monster, yeah. We do. I tell you though, Matt, Ava's not going anywhere.
I love and hate that at the same time.
Except through character development. Yeah, there's still so many great characters for us to hang out with.
Yeah, so that brings us to the end of Volume 2 of 9 of the Perfect Editions. So there's 7 volumes left. There's a lot of Monster left. And I am super excited to see where it goes, what happens, kind of what new complications and revelations get thrown in there. And you know what? I will be ready to forgive a split personality. I've done it in Batman comics before. I will do it here.
Yeah,
I liked Hush, and Hush is a bad comic.
Well, there's, there's good stuff about it, and there's some really bad stuff about it. There's a particular thing that I'm really dreading getting to. Because it's a bit of a can of worms that I only vaguely remember. Like, I remembered enough to go, oh, this is a can of worms. So, I don't know when we're getting to that. Maybe this time when I read it, it won't be there. That's my hope.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. And if we don't, that's okay.
Yeah. Matt, who are you? Where do we find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm Matt Fennell. I am actually, as of this recording, I'm really no longer on Twitter. I took a break for my mental health and because of the series of events that have transpired at that website. But I do run the Urasawa Boys Twitter, so I will blast out, kind of episode updates and stuff from there. If you want to follow me, the best place to do it is either on this podcast or on my personal website, blarple.net. That's BLARPLE.net.
Is that new? What the fuck?
No, I've had that for forever. I haven't updated it frequently. So I have some bits and pieces of writing, and my goal for this year was to write there a little bit more. So that's probably the best place to follow me. Or on this honestly, this podcast is the best place to follow me for now. But yeah, that's me, Matt Fennell. Quinn, where can we find you?
You can find me at 200 Proof Games. That's 200 Proof Games on Twitter. I'm going to be doing a crowdfund in February, but this episode isn't going up until like March or April, so that doesn't matter to you. But
I think it's going to be very beginning of March.
Very beginning of March? Okay. It's still not super relevant, but if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see me talk about all of my cool TTRPG projects. And that's pretty much, yeah. I mean,
we have a Twitter. We have a Twitter for the show. It's at Urasawa Boys. We have a Patreon for the show.
Maybe follow my TikTok. Also.
Yeah. Oh, follow Quinn's TikTok.
Authenticity.trip. I got to get back to posting on that motherfucker. We do have a Patreon for this show, and we want to get you some bonus content. We want to get you Maintaining Balance, where Matt fans can get their fix of that pure mainline Matt Fennell content. And I have decided, Matt, actually, that I am going to learn to read Japanese.
Oh, are you really?
Because here's the thing. It's manga, nah. Anime, nah. But the Japanese TTRPG scene is so incredible.
Sword World.
I look at the posts from the Japanese TTRPG accounts and I drown in my own drool, and so I can't live without being able to read them. I can't do it. So I'm going to have to learn. So if you want to contribute to the Patreon, you can help offset my Duolingo costs. So thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Quinn's dad, is it Mr. Morris?
Call him Charlie. He'd go insane.
Charlie, I owe you a postcard because I think you were the first
my
patron.
dad. I sent my dad our rough cut of episode 1, and he was like, "Great, love it," and then went and subscribed to our Patreon, which I didn't even know was public.
Man, I felt so bad. I didn't even realize. But yeah,
it's so funny.
Quinn's dad, I owe you a postcard. I'll get it in the mail. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this episode,
what a great guy.
if you do.
And
thank you to our patrons.
Thank you to our patrons. Thank you to Phil Fox.
Thank you, Phil Fox,
the Spout Lore server, who was our first Patreon subscriber. That was not my dad. We should probably send you something too.
Yeah, I'll send you a postcard too.
Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for listening. This was a long one. This was a dense one. What did you think? Reach out to us. Let us know. Should we make a Discord? Not until we have
not yet.
base.
Yeah, we'll wait on the Discord, but we're on all the podcast platforms. Rate us, leave reviews.
Oh my God,
share us.
Please rate us and leave reviews. Anyway, everybody, thank you for listening, and thanks for being a friend.
Thanks for being a friend.